What's up, guys? More Medic One, and today we are going to go old school, and I've got this old 5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton starter that needs a new ribbon spring, and these are still available from Briggs and Stratton. And here is the part number right there. As you can see that. Let's go ahead and open this. And this is not a, well, most starter springs are ribbon springs, but this one comes in this little holder, and you have to bend these tabs out to get the spring out. And the way you wind this thing up, you have to uncoil the whole thing to be able to get down into these the holder for the rope rotor. We're going to have to remove the starter from the blower shroud, and it's real easy. It's just 5/16 headed screws, and there's 4 of them, one here, 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 and here. Once you get those removed, the blower shroud will just come away from the starter, and then we have just the starter to work on, which will be a heck of a lot easier. Plus, we've got to get to 4 more screws here with 1/4-inch head bolts, heads on them, to get these plastic tabs out of here so we can pull this rotor up out of there. Let's go ahead and disassemble the rope, the handle. And if it's been in there a while, it may be a little bit tough. Just dig it out. And as you can tell, this handle is just about dry rotted. I just took a chunk out of the side of it there with my pliers. So what I'm going to do is I'm not even going to fool with trying to untie this knot. I'm just going to cut it. And then we're going to let whatever tension's left, just let it unspool or unwind. So there's not hardly any, a little bit. So whatever's left there, what we're going to do is we're going to take our pliers and we're going to catch the end of the spring. And we're going to pull it out just a little bit, and I'll show you here in a minute why we're replacing this spring. Here is the spring holder. If you can, we're going to let the spring suck down past the spring holder here. I was hoping that I could just take my pliers and pull this spring holder out of there without messing it up too much. It just slides out of its groove. Yes, we can do it. Just like that. Turn the starter. To get any tension off of the spring. And just push the spring back up in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten the spring, and it should suck it up in there. Here it goes. Okay. There we go. Finally. Okay. Now, we need to get the rope rotor out. So let's go ahead and take these 4 screws out of here. These have been in here for a long, excuse me, a long time. And when I started backing them out, they stopped. So what I'm doing is I'm going to tighten them and loosen them. Tighten it and loosen it. You don't want to break the heads of these screws off, because this is the main holder that holds the rope rotor in. Now you could probably get by with one or two being broke off, but I wouldn't chance it. Man, gotta be real careful with this old stuff, folks. Yeah, see, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get that one out without breaking it. Tighten it. It broke loose, folks. Let's just pray that it doesn't strip the threads. Alright, we got lucky on that one too. Man, I put a lot of torque on that right there. Tighten it. But you get the idea. Just rock this nut, this bolt back and forth. And don't put too much pressure on these, because you will snap the heads of these screws off. Man, oh man, that scares me. I hate this. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, is broken bolts. And I'll do everything that I can try to prevent it. I believe we got another one. Alright, one more, if we're lucky. Oh man, that one's not too bad. Let's go ahead and tighten it. We got them all out. Thank goodness. Alright, so we can lift this rope rotor out of there. Whatever it needs as far as tension, just let it do its thing. And we're just going to turn this out of here and unhook the spring from it. What you want to do though, you want to inspect where this spring seats and make sure this is not worn out in here. As you can tell, this spring is just absolutely rusted to pieces. This thing is so old. The white lithium grease that they use to assemble this with is just hard as a rock. Let's get this all cleaned up, and what you want to do, you just want to put just a little bit of lube right here on these posts where that rope rotor drags across those the starter, and you should be good to go. So I'm gonna go clean this up, and I'll see you guys in just a little bit. Alright, so the next thing we need to do, we need to get our spring unpackaged, and be sure to please wear safety glasses when you do this. I have gotten slapped in the face, I've gotten cut over the years, so just hold everything good and tight. Wiggle these tabs out with a pair of pliers. And carefully remove this spring. Carefully, I said. And just let it carefully unwind. What you want to do, you want to get and work the spring pretty much straight. It don't have to be completely straight, but it needs to be workable enough to where you can work with it. So that ought to be good enough right there. Now, the natural curvature of the spring, what you want to do, you want to be able to start this just like you took it off. You want to take your rope rotor, and I don't know if you'll be able to see how the end of that spring is made. It's just kind of a dog bone. You want to put the dog bone in and turn it so that it's just like that. It's latched, it's in there, you can't pull it out because of the dog bone is now engaged in the rope rotor. Once you have your spring in this position, you can go ahead and let's go ahead and close this thing up. And at this point right here, let's go ahead and reinstall our keepers here and here. We need to install the spring keeper, so what you're going to have to do is go to the other end of the spring and slide it all the way over. Start here, figure out which way it's going to go on. I believe that's this way, and just slide it. Until you get to where you need to be. Slide it in its groove there, and push it in, and it's in. So at this point, we can go ahead and start winding this spring. Doing, you're sucking the spring up into the starter. almost to the end of the spring. Here it is. The trick here is to not let the the end of the spring here get sucked back up in here, or you'll have to start all over. So what we're going to do, we're going to get close to being done here, and then we'll take a pair of pliers and carefully make the spring go in its home. Just let it nestle right in the top part of this holder here, and now we can finish winding the spring without any issues. Wind it until it stops. Okay, we're there. It stopped. Find where your hole is for your rope and then back it off to that point where the rope goes through. So that way you don't have any, when you get to the end of the rope, it's not going to overextend the spring. So at this point right here, we can feed the rope back through, and it'll probably be easier to just go ahead and remove the rope guide. Just slide it out, push your rope through, grab it with pliers, put your rope guide back on, put the screw back on, and then pull the rope through until you get to the knot that you made in the end of the rope. Now I'm going to make a little slip knot right here and just let my spring rest against the rope right here, so I can fiddle with the putting the handle back on. I would definitely replace the handle if you need to. Tie you a figure 8 knot, look something like that, and then we're just going to place the pin in the top half of the knot, and when we pull everything tight, it should have a pretty good base. Pull it tight and undo the knot. And you are finished. Figure out about where you want your starter to go onto the starter housing. You can put it back where it originally came from, or you have, you know, different holes you can play with for different applications. So let's just go ahead and put it back where it was. We'll flip it over and reinstall our screws. Man, we got the old school Briggs and Stratton starter fixed one more time. tip. This sounds like hell right here, but once you mount it on the starter clutch and it centers everything up in here, it'll be quiet as a mouse. But another little tip for you, where this starter clutch mounts, if you go to crank this thing up and it goes to screaming like a banshee, you need to take that clutch off and you need to polish the crankshaft and put you just a little touch of grease on that crankshaft and reinstall your clutch. Now if the clutch is worn out and it still does it after you grease it, just replace that. I think it's, if my memory serves me right, I'll put a link in the description below, but it's like $399,671 is the old part number for that. If I'm wrong, let me know. But yeah, if this content helped you, please give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and this lady can go till her garden again. Anyway, y'all have a good rest of your day. I'm the Mower Medic 1.